Welcome to Climate Quickies, bite-sized nuggets of climate goodness from our TEDxLondon experts in under 5 minutes.
In this week's Climate Curious, we're asking what's the connection between malaria and climate change? Unfun fact, mosquitoes are the world's deadliest animal. Fun fact, malaria is Italian for bad air. Fact, malaria is becoming more unpredictable due to hotter temperatures and increased rainfall. But by using better malaria surveillance tools, weather forecasting, vaccines, and even bed nets, we can recognise new areas that are more vulnerable to malaria due to climate change and ensure that they are ready and equipped. To highlight climate change's impact on infectious diseases and solutions available right here and right now is Margaret McDonnell, Executive Director at the United Nations Foundation. Stay curious.
Hi, my name is Margaret McDonnell. I'm the Executive Director of United to Beat Malaria at the UN Foundation. And United to Beat Malaria is a global grassroots campaign that's really focused on mobilizing partners, individuals to take action to help beat malaria, which is one of the oldest and deadliest pandemics in the world. So malaria is an incredibly climate-sensitive disease. Malaria is caused by the bite of a malaria-carrying mosquito. And there's different species of mosquitoes. And what we found is that with warmer temperatures, that allows mosquitoes to breed, to thrive. So what we've seen is in areas like the highlands of Tanzania or Kenya, where malaria essentially was almost down to 0 cases. Now, because of warming temperatures at higher altitudes, mosquitoes are able to thrive and breed. And so now we're seeing an uptick in malaria cases. So there's sort of this correlation between higher, warmer temperatures and the ability for mosquitoes to carry disease and spread it. We also see other impacts of climate change on malaria in the sense of when you have a significant climate shock or a disaster, such as a hurricane or a cyclone that leads to flooding, that has a significant impact. So for example, in Pakistan, the year after they had really significant flooding, they actually saw a 5-fold increase in malaria cases. A lot of people don't realize that the mosquito is the deadliest animal in the world. You know, a lot of people think it might be a lion or a whale or a shark or something like that. Beyond humans, mosquitoes actually kill, close to 1 million people every year. And malaria is the leading driver of that. So over the last year, we had over 600,000 people who died of malaria. It primarily impacts the most vulnerable. So pregnant women and young children, so children under 5. So currently a child dies every minute from malaria. The good news is that, it used to kill a child every 30 seconds. And because of increased funding and attention and the creation of programs like the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, the President's Malaria Initiative, increased attention from the WHO and others, we have made significant progress against malaria over the last 15 to 20 years. And so there has been significant progress, but we have started to see progress stagnating over the last 5 years or so. And that's due to a number of reasons, including insecticide resistance, as well as impacts of climate change and some other factors. So it's a really critical time. And, we're pleased that there's increased attention on the intersection of climate and health. For the first time ever. Malaria is a parasitic disease, and it is carried by particular types of mosquitoes. And so it has posed really challenging to address. But there's some exciting news. We actually, for the very first time, WHO has now approved 2 malaria vaccines. So these are actually the very first vaccines to work against any parasitic disease and the very first to address malaria. This has been piloted in a number of countries and now actually just in the last month has been integrated for the very first time into routine immunization schedule, starting in Cameroon was the first country. So it's been really exciting. There's a lot of excitement and interest and demand for the vaccine because they obviously recognize that this is an important tool to have to help protect the most vulnerable, which is young children. The good news is that there are a number of tools that are effective against malaria, everything from the prevention side. We've had next generation bed nets that have been developed that help to overcome insecticide resistance. There's indoor residual spraying, spatial repellents that seem to work quite well. There's some developments in the treatment to ensure that we can overcome any issues around drug resistance, as well as things like the malaria vaccines, which I mentioned, and things like even as genetically modified mosquitoes that are being developed. So there are tools that are being developed and that are available to national malaria control programs in endemic countries and to partners like PMI and the Global Fund to utilize to better forecast weather patterns, temperatures, as much as possible so that you can plan ahead. The great news is that there's more attention on this than ever before and more effort underway to better understand the links between climate and health. Malaria has been with us for millennia. It is arguably the oldest and deadliest disease or pandemic to humankind. There's findings that they think even like King Tut might have suffered or even died from malaria. I believe even Cleopatra. I mean, there's incredible history. Malaria was around at the time of the dinosaurs. So it's pretty incredible how long it has been with us. It's been with us for thousands of years. And it's really exciting that because of increased effort and resources and partners coming together, we've been able to make significant impact against malaria over the last 15 to 20 years, significant reduction in cases and deaths. But we are at this crossroads that will really help determine, how we respond to it, and actions that we take and the resources that are committed will truly have an impact on whether or not we can end malaria once and for all, which is our ultimate mission, is a malaria-free world, is a malaria-free generation, so that children and families and everyone can live without fear of dying from a mosquito bite. So there's a number of ways that people can take action, whether it's donating or raising your voice or getting involved and raising awareness. United to Beat Malaria has a great website that has a number of those actions, beatmalaria.org.
Thanks for listening to this quickie.
This episode was created by our superstar podcast team at TEDxLondon. Until next time,
Stay curious.